Perspectives from Time, Space and Nature by Arnold Toynbee. In a previous section, it has been noticed that, in the once Christian Western world since the 17th century, the progress of physical science has reduced man's stature and has diminished his importance in Western man's eyes. Science has revealed to us first that our planet, then that our sun, and finally that even our galaxy is not the centre of the physical universe, as our Christian ancestors had believed our planet to be. Science has also revealed to us that, though our ancestors became human perhaps 1 million years ago and were not created in 4004 BC, 1 million years is as infinitesimally short a span of time as 5 or 6,000 years on the timescale of the age of our solar system and the vaster timescale of the physical universe as a whole. These progressive scientific discoveries have made man seem puny and insignificant. This was the effect of them on Pascal's mind, though, in his generation, modern science was still in its infancy, and though Pascal himself rallied, sophisticatedly but decidedly, to his ancestral Christianity. However, one characteristic of modern science is that it is perpetually on the move and is constantly gathering speed. As it forges ahead, it keeps on revising its picture of the universe, and, as this picture changes, our impression of man's place in the universe changes with it. In our time, science has made 2 major new discoveries. In the field of physical nature, we have become aware of relativity. In the field of psychology, science has laid bare, in the human psyche, the abyss of the unconscious beneath the thin crust of consciousness and will. Both these discoveries are still too recent for us to be able to forecast their eventual effect on our view of man's place in the universe. But already we can perhaps venture on 2 guesses. These 2 discoveries will not restore man to the central position that he has occupied in the Zoroastrian, Jewish, Christian, Muslim scheme of things. At the same time, they may not leave man looking quite so puny and insignificant as he looked from the 17th till the 19th century. The theory of relativity has made us aware that an astronomer observing motions in the physical universe, like an anthropologist observing behaviour in a human tribe, is something more than a mere observer. He is an actor as well, for his observation produces an effect, not only in his own mind, but on its object. The tribe's behaviour changes when it comes under the anthropologist's eye. The mutual relations and relative speeds of the heavenly bodies change when these come under the eye of an observer perched on any one of them. In fact, the observer is not only an actor, he is an actor who plays a creative part in the drama of which he is a spectator. The physical vantage point on which he happens to find himself stationed is on the move itself, and the universe has no centre and no fixed points. The star on which the astronomer stands is moving like the other stars whose motions he is observing. Any star habitable by an astronomer is as good or as bad an observation point as any other. There may be innumerable stars habitable and inhabited by astronomers in a physical universe that may be infinite, and, even among habitable stars that are nearest to each other, there may be myriads of astronomers. Each of them may be, like Alexander Selkirk, monarch of all he surveys, in his particular corner of the universe. Man on his planet is one monarch who surveys his universe, and, in surveying it, modifies it, and thus, in a sense, creates it. The discovery of relativity has not restored to man the centrality and uniqueness with which he was credited in the pre-Copernican and pre-Newtonian picture, but it has at least put him on an equal footing with other possible denizens of the universe, who may share with man the capacity for playing the role of a creator in the act of taking observations. Thus, unless and until science takes yet another dramatic turn, we, in our generation, can feel rather more sanguine about man's position in and action on space-time than our parents and grandparents could in the light of their generation's scientific knowledge. If the discovery of relativity has slightly re-enhanced our estimate of man's significance in the physical universe, The discovery of the subconscious abyss of the human psyche has revealed that, in the psychic medium, a single human being is a universe in himself. We are still as far as ever from understanding the nature of the relation between the psychic and the physical aspect of reality. We know merely that these two aspects coexist not only in man, but in every other species of living creature on this planet, and it is possible that they may coexist in everything in the universe. In all forms of life on Earth, the coexistence of a psychic and a physical component seems to be a necessary enabling condition for the maintenance of life itself. At any rate, the earthly life of a terrestrial living creature comes to an end when its psychic and physical elements part company. The human brain is the human psyche's physical instrument, vehicle, installation, or apparatus. We do not really know what we mean by these and other words which we use as labels for a relation which we do not yet understand. We do know, however, that, as a physical structure, a human brain is comparable to the whole physical universe in the number of its constituents, in the speed of their movements, and in the complexity of these movements' interrelations. We also know that there is a correlation between the brain and the psyche in their respective structures and capacities, each in its own medium. As for the exploration of the human psyche, the pioneers who, in our time, have broken through the crust of consciousness and will into the underlying abyss of the subconscious and the irrational have already sounded depth below depth without having yet come within sight of anything that looks like rock bottom. In Western languages, it is virtually impossible to describe the psychic universe otherwise than in physical terms used metaphorically. The speakers of Western languages have, for the most part, so far, been extroverts. So these languages have developed only a meagre psychic vocabulary hitherto. Meanwhile, the deeper the level of the psychic abyss that our explorers of the psychic universe plumb, the less personal the character of each successively explored level turns out to be. Though the surface through which the psychologists make their borings is a personality, the lowest of the levels that they have reached already appear not to be the private property of this particular personality or of any other. The lowest lying psychic materials that the psychologists have succeeded in dredging up to the level of consciousness so far seem to be samples of a collective unconscious. How far does this collectivity extend? Is it common to all human beings only? Is it common to all living creatures on this planet? Is it common to the whole of the universe in its psychic aspect? If each of these questions in turn were to receive an affirmative answer, we should be coming near, in terms of investigation, to the Hindu intuition. Thou art that, the thou being the dweller in the innermost of a human soul, and that being the ultimate spiritual reality behind the universe. In terms of action, we might find our intellectual discoveries in this psychic field inclining us to follow the Buddha's prescription of strenuous spiritual exercises for reducing the self to the point of attaining nirvana, a state of extinguishedness in which selfhood has been burnt away, leaving intact, but now cleansed, the underlying spiritual reality on which selfhood, in the Buddha's belief, is an unfortunate excrescence. Elsewhere in this book, it has been pointed out that the Hindu philosopher's intuition and the Buddha's prescription anticipated, by about 2,500 years, the pioneer work of the first generation of Western psychologists. But of course, the discovery of ultimate spiritual reality and of the path by which a human being may find his way towards it by spiritual action has not been an Indian monopoly. Mystics nurtured in a number of different philosophies and religions at many different times and places have converged from many quarters on the same point by means of the same kind of spiritual travail. The similarity of the findings of modern Western psychologists, Hindu philosophers, and mystics of many schools points to an answer to the riddle of the sequel to death. These findings suggest that death's sequel is neither annihilation nor personal immortality, but is merger in an ultimate spiritual reality from which a personality that lives and dies has temporarily detached itself by a tour de force, purchasing a partial independence from it at the cost of a partial alienation from it. If this is the truth, the intuition of it has been shared with the philosophers and the mystics by the poets. This is what Euripides is intimating when he puts the question, who knows if to be alive is not really to die, and if our death in the netherworld is not really being alive? Who knows if the experience that we call dying is not really living, and if living is not really dying? In the mouth of Euripides, this question is significant. For Euripides is a leading exponent of the rationalism that, in his generation, was being adopted by a sophisticated minority in the Hellenic world as a substitute for traditional religion. It is equally significant to see the same intuition finding expression in poems written in the Western world since the rise of modern Western science. Two English examples are a poem by Henry Vaughan and a poem by William Wordsworth. The theme of these two poems is the same. It is an expansion of the theme that is implicit in Euripides' question. Life in the form of a human personality on Earth is an offshoot of a different and better kind of life on another plane. Life on Earth is also a trajectory in which the mundane zenith, a human being's so-called prime of life, is actually the spiritual nadir. The child retains recollections of its true home that fade when the grown man, at the height of his powers, becomes engrossed in the cares of this world. When, however, the supposed zenith has been passed, and life's trajectory is now descending through old age towards death, childhood's temporarily obscured awareness of our true home may be recaptured. Vaughan has called his slighter poem, appropriately, The Retreat. Wordsworth, bemused by his ancestral Christian tradition, has called his mightier ode Intimations of Immortality, though, in truth, both his and Vaughan's and Euripides' intimations are not of immortality, but of nirvana. The essence of Vaughan's short poem is conveyed in 3 couplets. Happy those early days when I shined in my angel infancy, before I understood this place, appointed for my second race. Oh, how I long to travel back and tread again that ancient track. The essence of Wordsworth's longer poem is difficult to convey without quoting every word, for this poem is profound, and the lofty word of inspiration is sustained from beginning to end. I make the following extracts from it at my peril. Our birth is but a sleep and a forgetting. The soul that rises with us, our life's star, hath had elsewhere its setting, and cometh from afar. O joy that in our embers is something that doth live, that nature yet remembers what was fugitive. The memories for which the poet raises his song of thanks and praise are those shadowy recollections which, be they what they may, are yet the fountain light of all our day, are yet a master light of all our seeing. Uphold us, cherish, and have power to make our noisy years seem moments in the being of the eternal silence, truths that wake to perish never. Hence, in a season of calm weather, though inland far we be, our souls have sight of that immortal sea which brought us hither, can in a moment travel thither, and see the children sport upon the shore, and hear the mighty waters rolling evermore. Wordsworth must have been very familiar with Vaughan's poem. He may have known Euripides' lines. It seems unlikely that he was influenced by Indian philosophy. Yet, in his intimations, the Indian note is not only unmistakable, it is predominant. The ultimate reality may indeed be the eternal silence of a nirvana that is the prelude to birth as well as the sequel to death. Yet, if nirvana is ultimate and is also blissful, why has its silence ever been broken? Why emanation? Why creation? Why Maya? Why karma? Plotinus spent a lifetime in exercising his subtle mind on this question without finding a satisfying answer. Marcion saw in creation the act of a malevolent god, but he was also aware of the presence and the power of love, and he imagined the intervention of a second God, a saviour God, to account for that. If the truth about life and death is obscure, the reason for life and death is still more enigmatic. Verily, we are Allah's, and to Him we return. If we translate into non-personal terms the Prophet Muhammad's vision of ultimate reality as a divine person, and if we substitute for this anthropomorphic image of ultimate reality Wordsworth's simile of an immortal sea, we might think of a human being as being like a wave that rises and falls, or a bubble that forms and bursts on the sea's surface. A person, which is the only kind of person that we know, being ephemeral in himself. Yet, also like a wave or a bubble, a person may be a temporary form assumed by something that is abiding. The person who lives and dies in a psychosomatic organism on this planet may be a manifestation of eternal spiritual reality. But if this is what we are, we have to live and die without ever knowing in what relation we stand to the ultimate reality that is the source and destination of our being. In our ephemeral human life on earth, are we accidents that have no meaning in terms of this reality from which, as persons, we are temporarily differentiated? Or are we truants who have alienated ourselves from the source of our being by a perverse tour de force that we cannot sustain beyond the brief span of a human life's trajectory? Or is a human life on earth a mission on which a thou that is identical with the that has been seconded from the eternal reality for some purpose, in human terms, which does have some significance? We do not know. We awake to consciousness in a situation that is and remains a mystery to us. This is a hard price to pay for being human. Yet would any human being have rejected the offer of life if he had been warned in advance of its hardness and had been given the option of declining to be born?